Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Angelic Soul 11. It is your girl, Angelic Ray, and I'm super duper excited to be with you this Wednesday. We are going to be having a lovely, lovely goddess joining us very shortly, so bear with me so I can send her the invite. As most of you may already know, she is an intuitive wellness coach. She goes by Ujo, which she is here now. We're just going to give it some time for everyone to be joined. I'm so excited! Hopefully my connection is great. Hey, Satnam. Hi, beautiful sis. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Oh, you look great. You look great. I'm doing good. I'm just allowing some time for they're coming in now. Cool. Because I felt like
Okay.
I was having a little delay. So can you hear me well?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Am I like screaming? Or
Nope, it's good on my end.
all right, cool. Hello everybody. Welcome, welcome. So I'm just gonna give it about like one more minute, and as we do that, let's just meet and greet everybody. Tell us where you're tuning in from. So I'm currently in Florida, and Ujo,
I'm in Chicago.
Chicago,
Yeah.
naturally wit. Hello, welcome. So pretty much this is gonna be a live. We're gonna be touching base on what it is that you are so skillful at, which is like eating clean and like pretty much how that correlates to your connection with spirit. I'm gonna be breaking down different questions. This is kind of just annoying me. I wish I could get it out, but okay, I guess I cannot. So whatever. Um, and I'm gonna be honest. Today was one of those days where I was eating so much junk, and I was like, "Ooh, the test! Ooh, spirit, I see you!" Like knowing I was doing this live, but for me, part of being clean is being honest. So I was like, you know what? If my mom has sent me these cookies, I have been looking for these cookies for like almost a year now. They remind me of my childhood. I had like such a nostalgia today because they have not been able to, they don't sell them everywhere anymore. They're really hard to find. And I received them in the mail, and I was like, I bust like three of them down, like, no, no, no. And I was like, oh, anyways. But, you know, I had to be honest with myself and say, why not? I deserve this. And I'm going to tell myself I deserve it, even if that's an egotistical thing, right? What entitlement of what we deserve. But um, yeah, so how about we just get you to introduce yourself now before we get into any questions? I did put your bio in the description, and so that gave like a brief summary, but there are some people, they may be from your end. And then I'm gonna ask some questions deeper, so that they can get to know you a little bit more.
Okay.
And this is gonna eventually go on YouTube. Just to let you know, we're live on Instagram, and then this will be on Facebook. So just putting that out there so that nobody is confused about anything. Just gotta say it. Um,
Awesome.
yes. So everyone, this is the beautiful Ujo. Am I saying it correctly?
Yes.
And she is from Chicago, Illinois. And she is vegan. I was once upon a time. I'm in another world now. That's okay. And she's glowing. So I want her to speak right now. and share with us what it is that you would like to share before we get deeper into these questions.
Okay. Um, so I am an intuitive wellness coach, a personal trainer, a spiritual mentor, energy healer, tarot reader. I host a podcast called Fit Body, Fit Spirit. And really, my main mission is to align the mind, the body, and the spirit through health, through wellness, and through spiritual practice. And I also focus a lot on intuitive development, um, and just overall spiritual and life growth, like, but in a really practical way. When it comes to the health side of things, I recently July was my 8-year vegan anniversary. So yeah, I can't believe it's been that long. Um, but you know, one of my the businesses that I own is called Veg Fit Wellness. That's how I really started in fitness and wellness, and then adding in the spiritual aspects, and those two things came together. Um, and I can honestly say that with I know it's not something. Everybody's health journey is different, and how they um, view health, and that's my approach with the people that I work with, and just my overall messaging is, just because I chose the path of a certain path, that doesn't mean that it's for you, or I'm not one to like push anything on anybody. I really feel like, and even within my community, the Veg Fit Wellness community, I focus a lot on, like, let's meet each other where we are, and however you define health for yourself, like, I would encourage you to start there and to really optimize that aspect versus trying to fit into somebody else's idea of what health should be, because it is something I view as very individualized, and I really like to honor that.
I'm so grateful that you said that, because one of my questions was gonna be, do you have this belief system that everyone should be vegan? Because right away, when a person hears fitness, wealth, and health, and oh, they're vegan, I may not necessarily want to work with this person because they're gonna try to push their beliefs on me. So you're very open-minded to that. How do you go about that if a person is, let's say, either a meat eater or a vegetarian? Is it something that you look at, not necessarily the food per se, but maybe their body structure, or what it is that is in spirit, or how do you work with that?
So it does vary, depending on what track I'm meeting this person on. So, for example, I was working as a trainer in a gym, and even just within my own business, with working with clients online. Most of my clients are not vegan. They're not. They might have an interest in it, or be curious about wanting to be healthier, whatever, and I help them define that. Um, and so I really like to just first listen to their needs and what they are looking for, and really try to understand their language when it comes to what they need, what they're struggling with, what they feel like, what they need, what they're struggling with, and then I package that. I curate a strategy, or like a program that's realistic based off of their needs and wants. But really, where people kind of get the lines get blurred a bit is sometimes people have too high expectations for themselves, and they put too much pressure on themselves. And it's like, okay, that's great that you want to get there, but there's several steps that you need to take before you get to that point. so you can be so it can be this lifestyle can be sustainable for you, no matter what lifestyle it is. If it's and I really like to encourage plant-based because that is more for me. It's important to be more accessible for things to be more realistic for where people and for where people are. And there's so much. The word vegan is so tainted in so many ways. I don't even like the word.
Yeah,
Like
because
the word.
you can eat vegan, and that means you busting down some Oreos and some processed food and stuff. But if you're plant based, you can be a lot more healthier. So
Yeah, and I feel like
lifestyle.
it takes
Let's
the
say I like the
restrictions
word
off.
lifestyle versus diet.
Exactly. It takes the restrictions off. And, for me personally, before before I was vegan, I thought that vegans were like just white people that threw paint. That was like animal rights activists. I was like, oh, here go them white people throwing throwing buckets of red paint on fur. Like, what the hell is going on? I had no idea. I
That
thought it
was
was
throwback.
just straight
Yeah.
up.
Listen,
So yeah, I feel like the word and everything about it is very much there's a lot of negative connotations with it, especially if you are black, if you're a person of color, like there's this whole thing. And when I first became vegan, there wasn't a lot of representation within that community. Um, and I feel like now, for me personally, it's more important to um, to really help people be realistic for them. It's like, okay, you can want to get there, but why? Like, why do you want to do this? Because that's really what's important. Because it's like a lot of people they'll say, oh, I want to be vegan because I want to lose weight, or I want to be vegan because this is the trend. And it's a lot easier to do that now. But I often discourage just jumping right into it. I really like to because it's not always easy and really and it's not just about going vegan. Any type of lifestyle change is not always going to be this easy thing. And the biggest challenge, especially when it comes to dietary choices, is not necessarily is less of it being the food and more of it being the society and the people that you're around and being in the same environment and then trying to create change, especially if you don't have a support system that's really working with you. um, that's really the biggest challenge that I have found for myself personally in my own journey and even with other people. So I feel like that when it comes to when I work with people and what that experience is, I'm a straight up no chaser type of chick. So I'm like, listen,
I
that's
drink my shot straight up too, sis. I get it. I get it.
so it's like this is great this is what you want. Now let's see how this makes sense in your life and how we can make this work because um like I mentioned before, people have really high expectations and they don't realize that like the effort that has to go into it, and it has to be continuous effort. Um, and it's not, and I also focus on, I'd rather have long-term lifestyle change versus just some quick fix thing. And that's been one of my major frustrations in the fitness industry. And I mean, I have 6-week programs and things like that, but that should really be or even cleanses and things like that. And I have free guidebooks for cleanses and things, but it becomes it's like, oh, let me just do this thing real quick, and then once it's over, I'm going back to what I was doing before. And it's like,
No real commitment
what's
to self.
what is the real benefit? What is if you're going back to the way you were, then what's the point of you're doing this jump starter or jump forward? Something should shift. There should be some type of change, even if it's just one thing, but then people end up in this loop. And that happens, you know, with health, with wellness. It helps with, and it happens with spirituality too. So that's been a correlation that I've noticed on both
So
ends.
that's actually I'm glad that you mentioned all of that, because that was actually what I was getting in my head. Especially like for me, when I was first transitioning, I was vegan for about almost 3 years. I want to say it was almost four. But the first year, I would say more vegetarian, and that's because it was really hard for me to break out from cheese. So my transition, for those of you that's interested, I had a friend, he's been 15 plus years vegan, and he helped me a lot during my transition. It was through a spirituality that it happened, but it was for physical things too, and it just kind of all tied in together. And um, he ended up passing me this book. I was getting into my spiritual practices and meditating and everything, but it still was fairly new to me, and on a conscious level of what I was doing. And I had a lot of imbalances when it came down to my emotions. I had imbalances of my menstrual cycle. My medicine, I manifested my menstrual cycle to come down. I got it at the age that I wanted to get it, and then little did I know what I was calling upon, you know. Um, but then it was always like an imbalance, and later on in life, I realized it was because of things in my spirit and my subconscious and everything like that that was triggering a certain lifestyle I was living here now. But at the time, I believed in like reincarnation, and I believed in these different things, but I didn't really tie everything together. And I just knew when I was going through a major transition in my life with my spirituality, and that I didn't even know it was gonna affect me physically in that way. It was just a shocker to me, and I just bear witness of animals and their soul. Like, I knew they had feelings, and I knew that they had a spirit, and I knew, but it was just I to see the essence and the way that I did, and it was just completely like, I was just like, okay, I need to not eat animals anymore. Like, I can't, I can't. And that was just my first thing. And then I'm like sitting there. I wasn't like traumatized or anything like that, but it was definitely like a shock in me, and trying to just like, but why, Angelica? Why? Why? What is so, And then I just was trying to figure it out, and I remember it feeling like it was in connection to my menstrual cycle. And I always felt, since I was a child, I was always like the babysitter of everyone's children, and I was like changing diapers at 5. So I always felt, and I always said, like, whether you have children or not, us women are naturally, as a woman specifically, gender role, are naturally mothers to all mankind, pretty much. Is just kind of what I always felt and always believed. And nobody told me that. It was just something that I always internally felt like, no, like, we kind of, whether you have children or not, you treat everyone, you nurture them like your mother, you're their child, they're your child, and still. So that mindset kind of was like with the animals as well. I was like, wait a minute. And I was never really a religious person or anything, but I would always get these like weird messages in these dreams, and I reached out to like family members that kind of were in certain religions, and um, I started learning that, like, wait a minute, maybe I want to crack this book open and there's some things going on here. And I'm like, oh, wait, like, we are here to, like, nurture the animals, and, like, they look out for us in a certain way too, if we look out for them in the way and go about things in a certain rites of passage. And so I was like, okay, I think I want to change my lifestyle. I didn't call it a diet. I literally changed the lifestyle. And it must have been like maybe a week after that situation, meditation and everything that I had went through, that I reached out to my friend, and I was like, listen, I don't know what's going on, but I think I want to stop eating animals. Like, how did you do it? I didn't know that. I knew he was vegan. I didn't know it was like for over 15 years. I was like, oh my gosh, that's like half my life, you know? And um, he was like, it's easy, but he said the same thing you said, like, don't just jump into it. Wing your way, take your time. It's a process, it's a journey. And my impatient ass still there. I was like, yeah. So I gave myself like a month, and I said, I'm gonna give myself a month to wing off of the meat and dairy. Now, since I was a child, I had like acid reflux, and so I couldn't really like digest milk and stuff like that. It wasn't for me. And so that was easy for me. Eggs was easy for me. The cheese, fucking devil. It's the devil.
A lot of people get stuck on the cheese. Yeah.
And that's what kind of got me back where I am right now. So the meat surprisingly was so easy. I gave myself this month 30 days, and less than 30 days, like, I was like, okay, week 1, instead of doing meat every day, I'm going to do 4 days out of the 7 days of meat. The next week, I'll do 3 days, then 2, then 1, and then no meat. That was my plan. Sure enough, I did psych myself out though. I told myself it was 30 days. I did only 2 weeks of meat of the land. However, I was still eating fish and seafood for quite some time. And I was like, no, this is not meat. And then I was like eating it at Stella Blue. Sorry about that. They're like children. And I'm like, this is meat of the sea. Oh, dang it. So then that's when I started realizing, and he gave me this book called Skinny Bitch. Have you ever read it?
I have that book. Yep.
I recommend everyone here, if this is a journey that you're like interested in, even if it's not veganism, just the health and wellness journey, it is a great book to read. And then I got Skinny Bitch in the kitchen, because I was like, okay, I want to like do these recipes, and that helped me so much, because now I had some science, some logic behind what I was feeling and what was going on with myself. And then later on, I realized the word vegan comes from like a star system, the Vega star system. And so my thing to you, what I was gonna ask, because you now have somewhat of a background, like how it triggered with me, and reproductive, the mother thing, it actually, my menstrual cycle got in alignment. I started a moon journal. And it was every moon cycle of the new moon. It was always in between, at first new moon, full moon. Now it's mostly like new moon. for the most part. And I can feel that, I know the difference now. I know when it's coming before it's coming, and but the bleeding is different. I stopped getting I had, they wanted to do a partial hysterectomy on me,
Mhm.
and I don't have any children, and I've always wanted children, so I thought my life was going to be over.
Wow.
And I went the route of veganism. It took me about a year to get off the cheese and the fish and everything.
Mhm.
And then doing a lot of like crystal and energy work and everything like that on myself. This was all intuitively. I just was allowing myself to connect in that way. And I didn't have to get the surgery. I have fibroids and endometriosis
Mhm.
gone,
Good. Yes.
completely gone. Like, yes, I
Yeah.
was like, I will forever cherish when you really love yourself and you nourish yourself and nurture yourself. You can make those shifts. And I say that because it doesn't matter if you're gonna eat meat. What I started off, I was not eating good today, y'all, but I had to be honest. So you
Mhm.
have to be honest with yourself, regardless of where you're at in your journey, so that you can get to where you wanna be. Um, I learned that that's where my connection with the animals and stuff. It was all in my wound. It was my sacrum. That
Mhm.
space really was talking to me in a way that I didn't. It was deeper than, oh girl, you better get over here. She's so smart. You want to say hi to the people before you get in trouble? Yeah, kick it. Um, that led me to deeper into my journey. And it's funny that you mentioned like, oh, you thought it was a white people thing and this, that, and the third. I originally didn't know any white people that were vegan. I only knew white people, but it's funny the story that you told, because I
I
remember
didn't know
seeing that
either.
on the news or something.
I did
And
not
so
know
I
that.
guess my
Mhm.
my thing is, I know for me it happened in like a spiritual way that led to my physical lifestyle, which shifted, and I didn't need the surgery, and it started to make sense. Do you feel that it is anything specifically connected with a bloodline, like physical bloodline or star system, or just the mind itself, or it's all of it?
Yeah, I feel like the best way to answer that is it depends. Like I do feel like it does depend on like where a person is within their level of consciousness and awareness, right? So when things shifted for me, um, I would say I would consider myself to not have been be conscious to where I'm at now. I was nowhere near where I was at now, right? Um, for me, it actually started prior to changing my diet and my lifestyle. Um, Actually, it actually started with me with my hair and cutting my hair off years ago. And then after that, my perspective of who I was shifted. Um, and that opened up opportunities for me to explore myself in a different way. So I definitely feel like that played a role. So in getting to that point, I started having issues with dairy. I was living overseas. I was living in Germany. I came back to the States and I started having issues with dairy. So I was like, I became suddenly lactose intolerant. And I was like, what's that about? And that's kind of piqued my interest into like um, doing research, and that kind of um, snowballed into me making that decision, which was never my intention at all. And so I feel like where I was then, when I think of where I was spiritually, I was like I was still kind of, I was still in the transitioning out of Christianity title. Um, I knew Christianity was, you know, I knew I was wanting to walk away from a religion, but I felt I had to hold on to something else to figure out where I was at. So I was still kind of in this limbo state. But once I started to change my lifestyle with my diet, um, that I became more in tune with my body because things started to change. Like you go through this, I was going through this detoxification process. Um, I did, I mean, like just so many things that I was experiencing. So when you become in tune with your body, like, and I say this all the time, you know, your body will communicate with you. Your body will tell you what it needs. Your body will, and when you start to go through detoxification, that release, oh my gosh, that starts to shed a lot of weight, energetically speaking, you know, and through that release of just this energetic weight loss, right, and this release of this unwanted stuff, it allows you to become a bit clearer, a bit lighter, a bit more expansive spiritually. So even if you're not at a point where, even if someone does not consider themselves to be deeply spiritual or not super invested in their spirituality, you still, on a primal level, we're naturally inclined to be in tune with our bodies. And in our society now conditions us to actually steer away from that. And so that becomes it, in my experience, and with the experience that I've heard from other people, it becomes synonymous with, it's like, man, well, I feel different in my body. I even, a lot of people have issues with their digestion or their skin. And that becomes, they just start to notice that. It's just like, wow, like you don't realize how, like you can be, I was at a point in my life then, I was at the epitome of health. I was competing in figure competitions. I was like the peak fitness, all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't realize how uh, how much stuff, like until you get to that next level, then you realize like, man, I was living like this. You People become so numb, and this happens physically and spiritually,
Yep.
become so numb, and they're so used to just being in pain. They're so used to just being uncomfortable, um, being in this level of discomfort, like always having headaches, always having back pains, always having aches, always being constipated. And that's, they just make that the norm. And that's just, they just live with it versus questioning, like, why am I constantly feeling this way? Let me no longer, how about I no longer accept this as my reality anymore and align myself with what can make me, align me with being my best self and feeling my best. And I feel like when you start to set those intentions, because that it's the same way spiritually or with your health. When you start to do that, everybody's path is a bit different, but the trajectory, is the same. You're still going from where you were to somewhere else. And no matter what level a person is on, I feel like that's the common ground. But so many people get caught up in the, oh, it has to be this way or it has to be that way. And I know for me, I made it a point to really not be like that and to go against the grain with, it's like, oh, well, there's this expectation that if you're vegan, you're supposed to like, that you hate meat, that you judge people for what they consume, that
They was trying to say I couldn't have honey, and I just couldn't believe that in my life. I tried agave, and I was like, listen, I need my honey.
and there's a whole thing with that, like, so, and there's different levels of, so even within veganism, there's all these different categories, you know what I mean? And so everybody has their approach, and it's just like, at the end of the day, whether it's your health, whether it's your spiritual journey, what is your truth? And that's what I try to bring people back to, whether it's on a spiritual path, a health path, or a fitness path, because I'm at the intersection of those things, along with metaphysics and mysticism. Like, I'm at the intersection of that, and it's all about finding your truth. And if anything, I try to help people shed all the bullshit so they can find their truth for them, to empower them to find that, and to know that nobody else, fuck everybody else. Like, really, at the end of the day,
It's your
you,
journey. It's a
yeah,
personal journey.
yeah, and I feel like that, I want to empower people to be able to have that dialogue within themselves, because it's one thing to speak. People have a fear of, like, speaking their truth to externally to other people, but it's like the first truth you need to be speaking, and the first dialogue needs to be with yourself. And we avoid ourselves all the time. We lie to ourselves all the time. We disappoint ourselves all the time, and we make that the norm because we don't have anybody to impress. If it's, so, oh, it's just me, I can just screw
And
myself
all
up
of
or
those are
whatever.
more normal feelings.
Yeah.
It's about not getting stuck in those feelings too, though.
Yes, exactly. And it's so easy to get stuck in it, because then it's like, oh man, because then it's almost like, well,
Because
it
we're
comes
talking, and
to
I'm like, I know I need a fast. I got some shit I need to, like, literally let out. And that's why, like, I knew, all right, like, I know better. But this is not, I'm also the type that I'm not going to sit here and tell you, like, no, if I'm fucking up, then I gotta be honest with myself first, and then honest with you as well. Because if I cannot be honest with myself, how can I be honest with you? And then how could I expect you to trust me to guide you or
exactly.
anything, or take any of the words? So I'm sorry, I did cut you off
No, it's
with
fine.
that, but it was very I was like, because as you're talking, I'm like, I hear you loud and clear. Okay. It's a conversation I was having with myself, and an aspect of me did want to be a little bit disappointed, but when I sat with why, why would I be disappointed? Who am I trying to please that would create this sense of disappointment? Am I disappointed in myself because of myself, for myself, or disappointed in myself because of an image that I had maybe projected out to others that I want them to believe, or whatever the case is? Asking these questions because, a girl has some pizza. I was like, nom nom
And there's
nom.
nothing wrong with pizza. Like, I love pizza. Like, it's one of those
And
things where, you don't have to, and I feel like, it's okay to have all the things. It's just a matter of, well, what is your energy towards it in the first place?
balancing
And
everything out.
balancing. Yeah.
Because
And,
I
and
definitely
honestly,
had some, I'm going to have this pizza, but then I had mad big spoons of sea moss.
hey, that's right.
I was like, all right, I need to balance this up somehow. And I know, and then it comes out and it shows in the face. You get the purging comes out. And one of the important things I think for everyone here to know too is when you're physically purging, it looks ugly. When you're purging health wise, it looks ugly. You get the acne.
You get
Before
the
you get the
headache.
beauty, you got to get the ugly out.
Oh,
The
yeah. And
ugly
every
got to come
time,
out first. Mind,
every
body,
time during
spirit,
cleanses, yeah, I went
all
through
of
all
that.
types of stuff. All types of stuff. And I actually plan on doing a cleanse. Um, and there will be some fasting in it, but I'll be doing a cleanse starting in November. I'm
Okay.
feeling called to do one then. So,
Is it a personal one or something that you're doing as a collective, a group, a workshop type thing?
well, it's something that I want to do personally, but I am considering opening that up for for people that want to be if they are interested in doing something like that. Because for me, I feel like I was actually talking about actually I have a podcast episode coming out tomorrow, and I talk about the seasons and how we everybody wants to, like, cleanse in the spring or after the new year or whatever, or just before the summer, but we are all in different seasons. So whatever season shows up, how that shows up for you and what shows up for me might be different. Like not everybody is meant to be very active in the summertime. That might be their hibernation, you know. Um, this time during as we're navigating into the colder months, you know, for some that you'll be more active, or maybe it's a cleansing time for you. Sometimes that's going to change just depending on where you're at. And so it's just like to honor whatever you're feeling led to do. And that's why that being in tune. And a lot of people, they just ignore what their bodies are telling them, you know. And I know for me, it's like my body's been telling me like, okay, it's time to like bring things down a bit and really do. I've been like in decluttering mode ever since Virgo season started.
I was gonna say happy belated birthday, and it's double sun, double moon, and we got a Virgo here. Today's a day of Mercury, Wednesday, so this is all you, baby. Yes. Mercury is the communicator, the traveler, the magician, you know, the sea, yeah, I guess the seer in a sense because of all that travel and everything, but magic. And everything that you're talking about, even if it's practical, it's when people, you know, they get so caught up on the hocus pocus of Hollywood and spirit and everything, but spirit is very practical as well. And I love what you said with the seasons, because I was born in a dark ass freaking moon in a winter storm. Like I was like icing everybody out, having my mother in pain and my dad drunk, like, you know, in the winter, on Christmas, the day after Christmas. I was born in between, getting out after Christmas. And for me, winter, whoo, I'm like lit. I'm like, yeah, well, I'm like, mind you, I get cold really fast, but I love the cold. Like I need it. It is part of my natural element. The death season, the cold, the nurturing, that darkness, that mother, that was me. That's why I connected so much with that, in a sense of, this is why this coldness, this where everything seemingly is dead, there is still life because I'm alive. I'm alive. And I'm proof of that. And everything that I touch becomes alive and nurtured as well. So there is still life there. And then you start looking at the types of trees. There's different trees in the wintertime than in the summertime. And there's different colors and everything like that. And so in the summertime, now I've kind of transitioned out of a place where I no longer get depressed, but almost my whole life I was getting depressed in the summertime. And like most people will tend to there's more of a higher depression rate during the during the winter time than the summertime, because of the holidays and the coldness. That natural death season is the morning, in a sense, that morning time of grieving. And once I really connected with myself, and then I also live in a hot ass state. So I think that was a lot. Like I was dealing with a very depressive energy for almost the whole time I was like living here till recently, because I've connected with myself in a different way, where like I was like, what? Like summer's here, hot's here, and I'm not depressed, but I was seeing triggers. So I seen the awareness of what my spirit was like, okay, but you know what? Like this is not it's not something that you can't do, but it's just not a natural flow for you. And so energy loves to take the route of least resistance.
Yeah.
I'm a knucklehead too, so. Your podcast, where could they find your podcast? If somebody wanted to listen, is it a subscription? How can we listen to what you're about to say about the seasons and everything tomorrow?
So the name of the podcast is Fit Body, Fit Spirit, and you can find it on all of the major podcast platforms. So you can find it on Apple, on Spotify,
Spotify. Okay.
yep, Google Podcast. You can find it there, and yeah, it's going to be a
Is Pandora considered a podcast?
Pandora. I believe they do. I'm not sure if I'm on Pandora yet.
Okay.
I might be.
I haven't
I
listened to
think,
Pandora in a while, so that's why I'm asking.
yeah,
But okay, so Apple, Spotify, or just even
Google,
go
yeah.
to like the
Google
search it.
Podcasts. Yeah, even if you Google it, they can also go to my website, ujowadjet.com. And I do have a podcast tab, and all of my podcast episodes are on there as well.
And at what time is that?
So it goes live at 5 a.m. Central every Thursday. So yeah, this will be a part two series, and I'll actually be wrapping up this season, and yeah, and then I'll be taking a little bit of a time off and starting another season. So hopefully I can bring you on my podcast. We could do an interview.
That would be cool. That would be cool. Definitely, I want you to enjoy your purge, your rest, your detox. And I think that's another thing. That's why I asked if it was like personal for you or something you're sharing with others, is because a lot of the times, the same way with the honesty thing, like being honest with ourselves first, sometimes a lot of the times we want to bring other people onto our journeys when it's really just supposed to be for us, certain things. And then there's times when it's like certain things that we feel like maybe just might be for us, but it might actually be to incorporate others in that journey as well. And so having that healthy conversation with yourself and listening to your body and knowing how to choose between that is really important. And especially, you just had your solar return, it's your season and everything, and then once that's over, you're still, it's not that you're dead, it's not that your season is over completely, but it is a transitional time for you, and that is very personal. And allowing, even if it's a day, because sometimes people, I'm pretty sure there's people here watching or listening or gonna be watching later that they don't even give themselves a day.
Mm-hmm.
I had to, and maybe this is the Cappy in me, but I was working like 7 days of the week, and I was like, yo, and even I catch myself still here and there where I told myself I'm gonna give myself Saturdays off. Saturdays are my days. And I also started allowing myself to put a certain schedule. You know why? As much as I want to communicate with clients and this, that, and the third, from this time to this time, if you hit me up after that, I'm just not going to respond to you. And it's nothing personal. I mean, no disrespect, but it's for my own health and sanity so that I can be my best version for you.
Yes.
And some people don't even know how to do that. And like, so even I'll get them and they're like on a Saturday and I'm like, oh, I want to work because I like working,
Yeah,
right?
and that's one of the
But
challenges. Like when you love what you do, and you are, when you are a spiritual healer, and or you're doing something that involves a lot of interaction with people, especially as healers, when you people be thinking like this shit ain't for the weak, man. They're
no, I'll be catching tantrums too. Can I get a moment to breathe, y'all?
yeah, people don't know on the back end, like, you want to, like, loving the work that you do, but then also there's so much that we have to carry along with that. And then on top of that, to be there for others, but then still have to show up for ourselves. And even still to this day, and I've been in the health and wellness industry for years, and I talk about these things, and I talk about it because I still go through those things. It doesn't mean that, like, I'm far from perfect, and I have to catch myself too, especially when I'm starting new projects, and I have like a ton of things going on right now, and I still have to hold myself accountable and be like, okay, well, I know I need to go I'm feeling led to go into transition. I'm feeling led to do certain things, and I'm honoring the flow of that season, of the season that I'm in. And I feel like even more so if you are um, a spiritual healer, a consultant, if you're a coach, if you're a trainer, and you do a lot of one-on-one, or you're holding space for other people, then it's that much more important. You know, even if you're a parent, like, you have to find that space for you. And even if someone can't get a full day in, you know, maybe half a day, an hour, you know, like, find it. And a lot of times it's like we talk about how there's not enough time, and sometimes it's just like, well, what are you actually doing with your time? You know what I mean? Because when I sit back and, you know, when I'm like, man, well, maybe I shouldn't be on Facebook for like 5 hours, and maybe maybe that's the reason. Maybe I shouldn't be on YouTube or Netflix or whatever the hell else is going on. You know what I mean? Like, maybe if I like just took 1 hour off of that. But sometimes you know how I was saying, like, the society conditions us to be like in this mindless state, and you're mindlessly scrolling, you're mindlessly doing a thing, and like, if you return to self, and I feel like the mornings tend to be the best time before all your attention is taken other places, to like really set the intention for yourself. Like today,
I don't
this
schedule
morning,
one
I
in the
set the
morning.
intention. Yeah, I was like, I got up and I was tired. I still got up. I did my yoga. I did my homework because I'm in school. I did all the stuff, and I did everything I needed to do. But today I'm going to I'm gonna like I'm gonna try to get everything done. Then I was like, nope, today I'm getting everything done. Today I'm setting the intention that it's going to be amazing. It's going to be an amazing day, and I'm going to accomplish everything that I need to accomplish. And that is exactly what happened. So sometimes even having a moment of just making a promise to yourself, committing to yourself just for the day, just focus on the day, or maybe it's the hour. Maybe it's like, okay, I just need to commit to this 1 hour, just to get out of the bed and to just make my bed and just make this coffee.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no, I hear you though.
Then
I hear
you
you.
set an intention every hour. Then it's like, okay, I made it. All right, next intention, and just, you know, starting there. And it's really about investing in yourself, because, you know, people are always going to want something from you or need something from you, and we have to be able to create our boundaries. And I think, you know, one of the things when you're a coach or a healer, you know, we need boundaries too. So, and it can be, if you love what you do, it can be hard to like find that balance, because I'm a workaholic. Like, I can literally, and that's something I struggle with too. It's like, okay, I need to.
And then you're a Virgo too, so y'all. It's funny, we're both Earth signs, right? That's only one aspect of us, guys. One aspect, okay? Um, y'all are very, what I could admire about, see, like people say, oh, like Capricorns are like workaholics and organized. I'm like, no, you want to look for organization, you go to a Virgo. We like to work, we get shit done. But that organizational skill thing, that's that. I mean, but I do have some Saggy in me too, so that might be a little bit why I be a little bit all over the place. But no, but that's, I'm so, because I know our time is a little bit running out, so we have about like 6 more minutes. And I just want to get everything through. So I'm super grateful that you was actually able to join us, especially with your schedule and you waking up 5 o'clock in the morning and doing what you got to do. And it's true, you know, for everyone here. If you're just joining us, please watch the replay. Please be sure to follow Ujo Wadjet, and also Fit Body, Fit Spirit. Yes,
Yeah.
making sure I'm saying it correctly. On all platforms, okay? Just make sure you go to all her platforms. If you feel like you have any further questions, you like her vibe, you want to connect with her, feel free to message her or go to her website. You go to your website. How would you prefer they contact you?
If they want to reach out to me, they can go to my website and click on work with me. And through that, if they're interested in working with me, they can select either in the drop down, there's consultation or tarot energy reading. Um, and if, yeah, I
That's
can't
another
remember.
thing we gotta bust down one time, because I know I didn't always get to watch you like live and stuff, but whenever you would bust out them cards, I was like, oh yes, she ain't never told no lies.
I
Spirit
know.
ain't never told no lie. And so that's one thing with me. I don't always what's the collab with a lot of people, so I don't plan to be doing this as like a podcasting or to be into. It's just something that when spirit tells me to do it or collab, I'm obedient to that. Although I could be a knucklehead, might take some time to do it, but I'm gonna do it, right? But when I'm anyone that I ever bring on any of my platforms, it's because I know what I know about them, and there's things I don't know about them either, but real recognizes real. And I wouldn't bring anyone, like, because you know what, at the same time, I never look at things as like competition or anything like that, but it's more of an expansion, right? I may be able to lead or guide you to a certain thing, or vice versa, however it may be. And if it's something that you may have for someone else, or even if it's just like a message, maybe they just came, they needed this live just to see two different sides of it, because I'm not vegan anymore. Well, why? What are different things that I can do? Start loving yourself a little bit more. I'm not necessarily a fitness and wellness coach and stuff like that, because I'm gonna be honest, like I'm seasonal with my fitness and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and that's me. But I know I'm gonna always be honest, or I'm gonna always be this. But if that's her specialty, that's your specialty, and you may be struggling with some type of addiction, and you go one route and you're looking to go another route. Or sometimes I have clients, I work with them to certain dimensions, certain ways, but they may have certain things that sometimes I'm like, wait a minute, I have someone else in mind that can lead you further or something like that. And that's just how anyone that I bring into my platforms, I like to have that space open where it's like, you know what, it's never gonna be a competition. So if you ever down to like collab or do another thing, then I'm so with it. If not,
Yeah,
it is what it is. We
absolutely.
did it this one time, and that's fine. I would like to in the future possibly, and we could discuss that later, but like bringing up the tarot, I think we should bust some cards
We
down
should,
one
because
time. We
I have
give it
not
to them.
done, I haven't done a lot. I used to do live streams all the time on Instagram. Instagram used to be my like main spot, and I've been falling off. This is my first time being on a live on Instagram in like forever, for years. So people gonna be like, oh shoot, we should do that. I think that'd be fun because yeah, I haven't done that in a long time. So yeah.
And we'll talk about that another time. So thank you everyone for watching. Is there any final words you want to give to the people? You have about like a minute and 20 seconds.
Well, I just first want to say thank you for connecting with me and for allowing me to be in your space and connecting with your community. I truly appreciate you. I mean, we've known each other for like a long time, and we when it comes to like really having in-depth conversations, like I feel like this was really a treat to be able to connect with you. So thank you for that. And I just want to say, just honor your truth. Honor your truth. And the truth doesn't always feel good, but it's a starting point to becoming that better version of yourself, whatever that is for you, wherever you're at. Just start with what feels true for you, and don't allow yourself to be caught up in what other people think that you should do, and really listen to what's going on within, because that's the truth. The truth never lies.
Cause them lies will come out the closet, baby, and then you gonna be wondering why you sitting there crying, like, what's going on
Yeah, the
here?
truth hit, the truth hit different. It's a different vibration. It's a different
Yes,
vibration.
yes. So I thank you. May you have a very, very blissful night.